What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to Let's Build U.S.S. Voyager Season 1, Episode 74. I'm Zero Elite, and I just want to thank you very much for tuning in today's episode. And if you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and help me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you guys enough for that. Today we've got about a 23-minute episode. We're going to be slightly shifting gears away from the saucer, and we're going to be getting in our lower hull details. I've actually been really looking forward to going over this with you guys because honestly this is one of my favorite areas on the ship. Well, not just in general, but it's my one of my favorite areas of the ship as far as how it's turned out and building it. So without further ado, we're going to dive right into this. So let's kick back, relax, we're going to get going. Now, one of the things I always say that will help you in building is breaking down what you're building into shapes. Now, what you're going to want to do, if you haven't done this extensively already, which you should have at this point in the tutorial, but pull up your reference material of Voyager. So in this case, we're looking at directly the belly section of the shuttle bay, essentially. The tail end of the ship. And if you look under that area, there's a grid pattern underneath it right here. Now, from what I can see on it, it looks like it's going in a V shape. It's got an elongated middle point, but it forks it U's off on either end, kind of making that U or V shape. So that's basically what we're going to do here. So now that we have a solid idea of the shape that we're going to make, I'm going to go 2 in with my cut line. And I think what I'm going to do to try to make this thing look as good as I can, not for all of it, but at least the very back end, I'm going to go with my cut line going 2 in. And at this point, I'm just following the cut line. You follow the cut line here, you can't make a mistake. This is one of the reasons I build the ships the way that I do, because all these things in play help you and guide you along in what you essentially need to do. Now, I don't think I've made this wide enough, because basically what I'm doing, I'm trying to make a gap in between that line that we just made, and I've gone in several blocks, and I want to repeat that process so that basically we can make the very bottom shape of the U, and then we're going to add on the corners to it, so that this way we have essentially a 3D U. The problem with right now is that when we start to corner off and come down this way, we're not going to have that gap that we have in between these 2 rows like we do back here. So there's going to be some slight adjustments that we're going to have to make, but you know, that's okay. That's the whole point and part of the process and why we do this the way that we do. You got to throw something down, see how it looks, and then make your adjustments. You know, it just kind of is what it is. But I'm just going to continue this on. What could be a solution here that could work better, because as you can see now, I've adjusted to going off of the inner row instead of the outer row, because what we could do is turn this inner row into the outer row essentially, so that this way we have all the room that we need. And at this point, like, this isn't hard what we're doing. I'm just going in a pattern of 3. Up in the front here, and then back here we're going with a pattern of 4. So you want to count that out, pause it wherever you need to. But I think what I'm going to do at this point, we're going to make a change to that. It's not giving me that angle that I want it to give me. So I've taken off everything other than the back. So you can see now I've adjusted. I'm going with a pattern of 4. And after every row of 4, I go back 1 with a cut. We need to add in some illumination blocks. Getting a little bit dark in here. I'm usually really good about the illumination blocks. Every once in a while, I might forget to put one in. Cut me a little bit of slack. When I'm building, sometimes I get tunnel vision, and I don't necessarily realize it sometimes until after the fact. But I've been trying to make a point to make that part of my process, to have the illumination and just consciously being aware all the time that when I'm building, people are going to have to, try to build behind me. So I'm not perfect. I'm trying my best. Now, anyway, this is looking pretty good. We got the left side done. It does not look bad, so what I'm going to do, we're just going to pop over to the right side. We do one thing on one side. If it's supposed to be the same way on the other side, let's just go ahead and knock that out right now, sticking with our process. I think doing the pattern of 4 and then going out 1 with a cut and then pattern of 4, I think that's going to be the way to go here. Now you can see this line that I'm doing straight across. This comes up right up to where this transition point where the belly arches downwards. So it's going to come right up to it. So this way you have that good point of reference. Look, this is one of the things I've noticed with people in building too, and I want to pause it for a second and go over it. And I've noticed this where, like, here or there might be somebody that they'll say, like, oh, well, I did exactly what you have, but there's a 2-block gap in between this right here and then this back area. If that happens to you, just accommodate it, Mistakes happen. And it's, no matter how well we build, no matter how many steps we put into place, these mistakes will always happen. And it's just, what can I do to accommodate that? And, well, not accommodate it, but what can I do to solve this problem? So if this is happening to you in this case, like, well, if it's off by 1 block, add in an extra row on the V. Or if you don't want to mess up that pattern, just extend this row out by 1 or 2. You know what I mean? So these are just some things to think about. That's the way I look at it when I build, because, nobody's perfect. Nobody is perfect. Mistakes are ultimately going to happen. And a lot of it is just, the culture today. I think we're in a culture where people can't make mistakes anymore, And if you do make a mistake, you're the worst thing in the world. But, that's just, unfortunately, we're not a race of robots, and humans are very, very, very flawed. And, yeah, nobody makes mistakes. We all make tons of errors. But, we do our best. And that's one of the great things with the shipbuilding, is that, this is for fun. This is how I look at it, And mistakes are going to happen. I don't care about the mistakes, because mistakes ultimately end up making me a better builder in the long run. So I'm trying to do the inner V now, so that we can make this 3-dimensional, and I don't think I got the measurements right. I'm pretty happy with the outside of it, but the inner side needs some adjustments, I think. You see what I did here? I built this line right off of my first building line that's going down. So I'm trying to essentially space this out so I can get my starting point correct. Or at least that's my thought behind it right now. That's what I'm trying to make. Trying to get my spacing right so that I can try to build this thing out where it'll look good. So off of these cross intersections, I think we might be able to start the template, and that could look good. So there's only one way to find out. We're going to bang this out, and then we're going to zoom out and see how it looks. And you see that even matches up perfectly, because that fourth block there is the row that's going straight across. So you see how I troubleshooted that to come up with that? That's why I say that there's always a solution to the problem if you're so inclined to keep working at it and thinking, what can I do to fix this? In this case, it's just basic math, splitting up the area that you're working with and trying to build off what will potentially be the correct starting point. Now, what I like about this is that we have our V, and we have our tiny gap here in the middle, just how it looked in the reference photo. So I mean, really, all we have to do at this point is this middle row right here with the blue. We're going to change that to light gray, and then all the other blue blocks, we're going to delete them, and then we've got our V shape. Simple as that. And if you want to make adjustments, you can make adjustments, you know. If you want to make the V longer, you can make the V longer. That's the beauty of shipbuilding, or just building in general. Do whatever you want. Dealer's choice. Especially when it comes to fictional ships that don't exist in the real world. You can get away with things like that. So now we're going to space this up in the middle again of our V, and I think we're going to try to add in a middle pattern. That looks like off the fifth row, we're going to do a line. Now the vital thing with this is just making sure that your rows match up. That's basically it, you know. This is very cut and dry. Those of you that have been building with me for a while know that this is just, you know, this is just part of the bread and butter of what we end up doing. I love going off the patterns. It makes life so much easier than trying to figure out a random pattern that works. This is just, to be honest with you, I don't even remember how I came up with this. I'd almost say it would be like a stroke of genius, but I can't give myself that much credit. I got lucky and I stumbled upon this process just by trying out different things. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, what happened is that as I was building my 2009 Enterprise, I noticed that winging it wasn't working, and I think at one point, out of frustration, I just up and decided, I'm like, well, what if I try to match up all my cut lines? And that ended up being the smartest decision I ever made on here, because it's made this whole process so much easier. See, now that doesn't look bad. That doesn't look bad at all. Now, right now, I have this built outside of the ship. There's a lot that we can do with this. We can do half slabs going around it to blend it in. We can do uh, light gray concrete blocks directly underneath it and delete the blocks in its place, just like I did right there. So we've got a lot of options as far as what you want to do. What do you think is going to look best? You know, these are things to think about. And if you're not 100% sure, my best recommendation, take a step back from it. Let it marinate for a while. Sometimes the solution does not always present itself. Giving your brain a chance to rest is truly vital. Allows you to come back with a fresh set of eyes to tackle the problem at a later point. So as you can see, just this back end, I'm filling this in with white concrete. Everything back of our blue line. And now on the sides, I'm going to fill in the V-wings. I'm going to fill all this in and do the same thing right here. We're just going to bring that going all the way back. Follow your template. Fill that in. You need to pause it, do whatever you need to do. I'm going to fill that in off camera, and then we're going to come back. I want to zoom out because I went into that kind of fast so that we can get our starting point. So you can see off our blue builder line, I'm going 1, 2. So this is the second cut line, and I'm going to do that going straight across. And remember, I'm doing blue so that this block doesn't blend in with the rest of what I have. I want it to stand out, so that essentially this is a building line divider. So we go off of our second cut, again, maintaining the pattern that we have to split this up. Going to take that straight across and do the same thing on the other side. Because now what we're doing is we're transitioning this from a V shape into more of the grid shape that it has going on underneath Voyager. At least from what I can see. We're looking pretty good. Just going to continue knocking this out. Same deal, going off the second cut. And see how that matches up perfectly? 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 by 2. So when I talk about your design cues, your patterns, all these things come together. Maybe not right away It's a step by step by step by step process. One thing by itself may not show all of this, but when you start incorporating all these steps in, eventually it just blends together at one point. So I filled in that middle row right there, and we've got that divided up pretty good. It's not looking too bad. Not looking too bad at all. And at this point, I'm just trying stuff out to see how it looks. To see if I want that line to go all the way back to the tail. And we can slowly start getting rid of this blue. No, like it'll be cool too when this is done, because Voyager, believe it or not, is going to have the most detailing out of any ship that I've done in the past on the bottom of the saucer and also just the bottom of the belly of the ship. There was a lot that went into this, and it's crazy because I didn't even finish all the detailing. There was more to do. I just kind of ran out of time. I didn't want to continue on the tutorial series for season 1 and blow it up too much. I wanted some stuff to save for season 2 if I'm lucky enough to do a season 2. But you know, I've also thought about, in the event, like maybe let's say Voyager doesn't do that great in the long run. If it comes down to that, what I might do is I might just do some of the stuff I was intending to do and just kind of mix it all together into a special or something like that. I don't know. We'll play it. I'm playing that one by ear to kind of see where it lands. It takes a little bit of time to really see how each of these tutorials do, because it takes a little while for me to get through the season, and that's usually when people start watching it, is when I finish it, because I notice that there's some people that build as I do it. Excuse me. But there's also a lot of people that they wait until after I'm done with the tutorial series before they jump in. So it's just kind of hard to gauge sometimes how these are doing. So that's why I'm kind of attacking it the way that I am right now, where it's more of a let's wait and see kind of thing. It just seems to make the most sense to me anyway. I don't see what we want to have. We don't want these gaps here. See how it goes down like that? That doesn't look right because it doesn't go with the rest of our template. We want to have it clean where it goes straight across. We've got a cut, goes down one, and then it continues, but there's not a block directly underneath it, so we don't want it to be connected all the time because it's going to mess with the look of it a little bit. Yeah, it's the only thing that's messing with me at this point is that what I'm doing with the half slabs, it looks good. I kind of feel like I need to clean that up a little bit. with the cut lines instead of having it be just a continuous line going straight across, but we're just going to let this play out for now. Because I think at this point, what I just want to do, I want to get the half slabs down to see what I'm working with. And then I can always come back and I can add in a full block here and a full block there. It would be easier to do it that way at that point rather than the other way around. At least to me anyway. Somebody might say, well, like just go with your pattern and do it. Sometimes it's not always cut and dry when you're building stuff out in the moment. So I say, like, it's so easy to point out a mistake when you're watching somebody build something as opposed to when you're in that first person doing it yourself. In my experience, what it ultimately is that you're so focused on what you're doing, even though it's right in front of you, you can easily overlook a mistake. So I mean, if that happens to you, like, look, just take it as a grain of salt. Stuff happens, we'll fix it, you know? And if it's a mistake that you've made, you know, these things happen. Just process elimination. First thing you do, retrace your steps. That's what I do. I stop and I analyze what I've done. I compare it to the other areas of my ship to see if everything matches up. And I use that as my way of seeing what I need to change, if I need to make any changes at all. I've always found that the more planning you take with these things, the better off they're going to turn out. Slow and steady wins the race, especially with this. But we're looking pretty good. You know, we're getting on the tail end of this tutorial series. I can't believe it. We're almost through Voyager, which is unreal. Now, I don't know if I'm going to go back and remove all these half slabs. I think, I don't know. Again, this is a dealer's choice thing. What looks better to you? Do you like it with the full blocks? Do you like it with the half slabs? Only you can make that decision. There is no right answer. There is no wrong answer. You may not like either or. That's okay. You know, think about it. If you're not sure what you want to do, make a copy of where you're at right now. Make a copy or two. Go into one of those copies, and if it's this way, if you make a lot of mistakes, or if you make any mistakes at all, you don't have to worry about that stuff. You know what I mean? Because if it doesn't come out the way that you like, you can just delete that save file and revert back to the previous one, and you're not going to have to do any backtracking because you went off that save file. I was trying to stop it right there, but it was giving me problems, so I'm not even going to attempt it at this point. I'm just going to take it as a sign that it is time to end the episode. But anyway, I think that's going to do it for me today. I just want to thank you guys again for tuning in today's episode, and if you did enjoy this episode, please help me out. Hit that like and subscribe button and help me in supporting the channel. Every like, every comment, every view that I get, all this stuff helps my analytics. So if you are a fan of this channel and you want to see it grow, if you can take a second to help me and knock that out, I'd be greatly appreciative for that. But you know, with that being said, if you have any questions regarding today's episode, any builds you want to see, just dropping by to say hey, or want to share some of your builds, definitely love hearing from everybody. You can comment below. You can also post your photos in the Discord. But anyway, I think that's going to do it for me today. I just want to thank you all again for tuning in today's episode. I hope everybody has a happy and safe week on this holiday week. And I'll catch you in the next episode. And of course, what did you make in Minecraft today? Post your photos in the Discord.